He literally looks like a youth that's just come from London. Hello everyone, welcome to In the Armchair. Today we're going to be discussing a cinema release, which I don't normally do, but this is The Woman King. It was released out in America, I think about 3-4 weeks ago, but it only just came out in England last week on the 7th of October. So this movie is inspired by historical events. Hollywood code name for a whole bunch of nothing with maybe one factual thing about it. It's about two powerful kingdoms in the 1800s, the Dahomeys and the Isles, who are about to get into a war. It's a film with a great cast. We've got Viola Davis, John Boyega, Lashana Lynch, and Fuso Mbedu. Apologies if I've pronounced your name wrong. For those of you that are new to the channel, I don't watch, read, or listen to anything about a film before I've watched it. And for those of you that are thinking that's very unrealistic, just spend one day of social media and then you'll realize how much out of the loop you are. I'm not on any social media platforms at the moment, so nothing is spoiled to me. I don't get myself embroiled in these silly debates. And I just find it far more interesting to go and watch something with fresh eyes. It leaves me with no expectations. Seriously, try it for yourselves. I stopped watching trailers about 7, maybe 8 years ago. It started with the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. They put something in there that wasn't in the film. I just found myself getting annoyed because I couldn't see where it was. Anyway, that's another topic, but try it. You'll probably enjoy the film a lot more. So anyway, I watched this completely blind. I came out of the cinema thinking, that was a decent movie. So I started doing my usual post-movie research, which normally involves watching the trailer to see how much they actually spoiled of the film. If it's particularly good, I'll watch some interviews with the actors, actresses, directors, and maybe watch a couple of reviews. And it's only when I started watching a couple of reviews, reading a couple articles, that I realized this film's got a lot of controversy about it. And I thought to myself, wow, all of this for a movie. So the way I'm approaching this is to, first of all, purely speak about the film itself, and then after that we can discuss everything else surrounding it. There will be no spoilers. The film starts off with a small battle sequence introducing us to the Armchair. These are the female warriors that protect the Dahomey king. Dahomey is now known as Benin. They were a powerful tribe in the 17th century. More about that later. The action within this first scene was shot reasonably well, but because it was at night, it was a bit difficult to kind of tell what was going on. However, my initial thought that went through my mind is I expected this to be a bit more violent. This was rated 15 in England. From that point on, we're introduced on a more personal level to the Armchair. They're highly revered and held on a pedestal within their state. Little girls want to grow up to be just like them. We meet Nawi, a girl who's been given up by her dad and wants to train and be just like them. From that point on, you kind of know what's going to happen. It's that typical rookie who comes in green and then they're going to work their way up to become a full-blown soldier. We've seen this over and over again in films. It's not to say that it can't work, but I just wish they brought something new to the party. I found myself getting slightly bored throughout the first half of the movie. However, the thing that held it together the most was the acting. Viola Davis. What more can I say at this point? Is she a top 3 actress in Hollywood at this point? Yes. I expect nothing less from her. Her range of emotions throughout the film, along with her physical presence, is impressive every single time she's on screen. Let's talk about John Boyega, who plays the king. When he first came onto the screen, I thought, nah, this is wrong. He literally looks like a youth that's just come from London. Based on his look, he just felt out of place to me. His face didn't really seem to fit. But as soon as he started speaking, I was like, whoa. His accent, his mannerisms, his expressions was spot on, so I had to take it back. I will never doubt you again, John. Lashana Lynch, who plays Igozi, gave a good performance as well. Much better than what she did in that Bond movie. I cannot tell you how much she annoyed me in that film, but again, that's a story for another day. Let's just say she fully redeemed herself here. And Fuso Mbedu, who played Nawi, gave a decent performance, but she just wasn't quite convincing in that role. I didn't fully buy into her character. I didn't really see her transformation. She just didn't give me that same feeling that the others did. However, the second half of the movie is where things started to pick up. Pace change and was far more enjoyable and far more emotional. There were some moments throughout that were genuinely moving. Speeches that were given that riled me up, that made me say, yes, this is what it's about. And maybe that's because I'm black. I can definitely admit within this film I had some biases. Once you watch it, you understand. You can definitely see some gender politics playing on screen, but I didn't really have an issue with it because number one, the things they were showing is definitely going on in certain cultures today, and number two, it didn't really feel like it was being shoved down my throat. This film was not about sending that message. What did stand out to me though was the lack of blood. Although some of the fight sequences seemed intense, it just lacked a certain grittiness. They lacked a certain level of violence that I felt needed to be displayed in his battles. Maybe I've just gotten too used to Korean movies, I don't know. And on that note, once you've seen a few battles, you've kind of seen them all. Unless they're introducing something new to the genre, maybe a new camera angle, camera movement, it kind of felt like you're watching the same thing, like I've seen this before. Some of the battles that stand out most in my mind when I think about it is Gladiator, Last of the Mohicans, Braveheart, and Curse of the Golden Flower. If you haven't watched that film, please go and do so. Fantastic. Lastly, there were some subplots that were added to do with love interests that I just felt were completely unnecessary. They added absolutely nothing to the film and was pointless. Overall, I had mixed emotions about this film. On one hand, I appreciate some of the fight sequences. On the other hand, a lot of them felt quite generic. Some of the scenes that drew strong emotions out of me, like the dancing sequence, were balanced against storylines that I just could not care about and just wish they didn't decide to include. The acting was good, the dialogue was good, and the score was beautiful. If you're into your strings within classical, this soundtrack is for you. I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Now that I've graded the film purely on a cinematic basis, let's talk about some of the controversy. Now, Lupita was actually meant to star in this film, but dropped out when she found out the true history of the Dahomey people and the Armchair warriors. Basically, they played a huge part in selling their own people to the Europeans. They said it was estimated about 2 million people between the 17th and 19th century. That's just straight bad. The Armchair warriors were known to be very violent, ruthless. The film shows they were in a slave trade, they were selling their own people, but focuses more on their battle with the Ios, the Nigerians. It's always the Nigerians, isn't it? The film would make you believe that they're trying to come out of that trade and move on to selling other things. That's fine, and I'm sure that did happen, but I think the problem lies in that the film is set up for you to root for the Dahomey people, despite what they would have done. And then I started doing a bit more research. What I found is that the screenwriter came up with the idea of this film after going to Benin and finding out about these warriors, these female, powerful warriors. And it seems that she just heard strong female warriors and ran with it. She didn't look into the history, because I don't understand how you can try and make these people celebrated in a way. We know Hollywood is nowhere to go for your source of history. We know the amount of lies they tell, revisionist history. This film was inspired by historical events, so we know we can't take anything. But it's like if they were to make a film about Hitler and make you want to care for him. I'm sure everyone will be outraged by that. I normally don't like mixing politics with film, but in this case, I can understand the outrage and the boycott of this film. What do you think about it all? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.